What's up? What's up? Good morning, everyone. What's up? Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Thursday, October the 23rd. We just had Tesla earnings yesterday. Overall markets ended up actually breaking underneath its Tuesday's lows, so we ended up having a push towards the downside. Overall markets were kind of dropping with the trade talks as well, so a little bit more uncertainty in the market. So dropping here. Currently in the pre-market, we're down a little bit here as well. We're kind of just coming right back inside of the range that we have here on the Qs for the SPY. Weren't able to break above your previous day highs and gravitate up and towards that all-time highs key level. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. My voice is getting definitely better. I felt a lot better this morning. We'll see how today goes. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. What's up, B Roots, Jeff, Victor, KO, Hartik, Jemiah, Monty, Blue, Tom, Ryan. Good morning, Wayne, Lamit, Norwin, Majid, Sinna, 51, Veet, Nontali. What's up, Eileen? Good morning. It's my birthday today. What's up, Eileen? Good morning. Happy birthday. Hope you have a great day. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Let's get into exactly what we're looking for coming into today. Let's go into the Forex factor here as well. So yeah, as you can see here, really coming into this week, as I mentioned, we don't have too much red folder news just because of the government shutdown. But we do have CPI, which is tomorrow at 8:30. So we'll see if we actually end up getting CPI. So 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then tomorrow we also do have flash services, which is at 9:45 a.m. As for the earnings calendar, let me go here. As for our earnings calendar, as you can see, we had Netflix on Tuesday, we had Wednesday, we had Tesla, which was yesterday. And then coming into today, we have a couple more earnings, which is Intel. We have other few names here as well. So really coming into today, really Tesla is the main thing. We'll kind of talk about Tesla. Really didn't do too much. Both sides seem like it got crushed here. So we'll take a look at Tesla in a second. Guys, yeah, it's not my birthday. It's Eileen's birthday. Say happy birthday to Eileen. My birthday is actually in December. Oops. All right. Okay. So coming into today here for the overall markets, if we look at this here, let's start off on the ES chart. The key levels I have coming into today is, right, your kind of this key pivot high. So this is the levels that we have marked out yesterday. Mentioned if we can maintain above our 6760, potentially we can see a push up and towards our previous day highs and potentially this all-time highs key level. Ultimately, we end up breaking back underneath and we end up using this as a retest level for a push back towards the downside. So for the overall markets, as you can see, broke back underneath our Wednesday's highs of last week, which is our 6760. Key levels that we have marked out now is our Tuesday size of last week. So as you can see here, really coming into today, as you can see, what I like to really see for the overall markets is the hold above our Tuesday's highs. If you want to see any sort of long position, 6710 is going to be key here for the ES. Another possible scenario, really break above your Wednesday's highs, which is going to be a little bit more difficult. What we're going to be looking for, as I mentioned, is the bounce off our 6710, Tuesday's highs of last week. You can see multiple touches. You can see a little bit of a touch yesterday. Now, this is the exact level we want to see hold if you want to see some sort of bounce play. As for some downside here coming into this morning, key level, in my opinion, is still going to be this Tuesday's highs. So if we have this drawn out, if price breaks underneath this, holds underneath your Tuesday's highs, potentially we can see a bigger move down in towards our Wednesday's lows. Another possible scenario is now going to be for price to push all the way back up in towards our Wednesday's highs, which is our 6760s. Basically the area that we broke down from. If we come up in towards this level, potentially you can see the market reject off this level and push right back towards the downside. So for the ES, coming into today, we're going to have both these levels marked out, our 6760s along with our 6710s. We go into the SPY chart, right, fairly similar thesis here. You can see this a little bit more cleaner, 670s along with our 666. So coming into today here for the SPY, we're about to open up really in between kind of this range that we have. The range that we have marked out here on the SPY is our range high all the way back from this news tariff. When we had this news with tariffs, big drop towards the downside. I consider this whole thing one big range, right? News candle high, news candle low. So until we're able to break outside this range, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to trade, and you can expect a lot more mean reversions. So as you can see, really the overall market, just a lot more mean reversions in the past, right, a week and a half, 2 weeks, just because we've been stuck inside of this range. All right. So really coming into today, as I mentioned, key levels that we're going to have marked out, 670 along with our 665. If you want to see some potential upside, potential bounce play off our Tuesday's highs, push right back towards the upside. Another possible scenario, breaking now above your previous day highs for continuation, right? A lot of these continuation trades have not been working just because the overall market has been consolidating. So that's something to keep in mind. You'd much rather look for bounces and rejections off key levels. If you're looking at the spot chart coming into today, a couple of levels that you could be looking for potential kind of short. It's 670 rejects for a push right back towards the downside. Another possible scenario, break now underneath your Tuesday's lows of last week, sorry, Tuesday's highs of last week. 665 for a potential push down in towards our previous day lows here and below. So coming into today here, we're about to open up inside of the middle of the range. So I'll be a little bit more cautious, right? Keep an eye out on the potential bounce plays and the rejection plays, as I mentioned, here on the major indices. Now let's go on to the NQ. Yo, what's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Let me go into the NQ chart here now. So the NQ end up having a nice push here on Monday, right up in towards our all-time highs. Ultimately, kind of rejecting off the top of the range, and now we're coming right back down in towards the middle of the range. So for the NQ, just a lot more ranging price action after rejecting off your all-time highs, pushing back towards the downside. Now the key levels, we're just going to have to mark out intraday key levels. So let's go back onto the 15-minute time frame. Really coming into today, the key levels that we're just going to have marked out is going to be our Wednesday's highs of last week, Tuesday's highs of last week. Fairly similar thing here to the ES. You can see reclaim back above this level here in the after hours. Nice push back up and towards our Wednesday's highs. Ultimately rejecting off this area, and now we're pushing back towards the downside. So coming into today here, if we want to see a potential another bounce, key level is going to be this Tuesday's highs. So if we can maintain above this Tuesday's highs, potentially just push back in towards its previous day's range. Another possible scenario, if you have a really strong bounce, really this is not a scenario I'll be looking for, but if you can get back above your Wednesday's highs, your pre-market highs, potentially you can see some push higher. But really the scenario that you'd be looking for here is the reversal here off your Tuesday's highs, or it would primarily be the break back underneath, rejection for a push all the way back down in towards your previous day lows. So as I mentioned, now you're gonna have to be open and playing both sides of the market. I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago, ever since we had the tariff news that dropped the market towards the downside. You just can't have a bias, right? If you have a bias to the upside or to the downside, it is going to be very difficult just because, right, the overall market, a lot more uncertainty. So there's going to be no real clear direction to both ways. And you're just going to have, right, big moves higher, big moves lower. That's just what's going to happen. Okay, let's go on to the QQQ chart. The QQQ chart I have in this case is our 607. And we also have our 603. So coming into today, a couple of levels, 609.50. We have our 606.50. And we also have our 602.50. So as you can see here for the Qs, key levels that we like to see a potential kind of bounce play from, 602.50 for a pushback towards the upside. Another possible scenario for longs, as I mentioned, is going to be now the break back above your 606.50 for a potential push up in towards your 609. This is my number one scenario. It's going to be the potential bounce off our 602.50. Another possible scenario here for the QQQ is now going to be the break underneath. We can break underneath, hold underneath our 602.50. Potential move down in towards our previous day lows here is in play. So keep this in mind for the major indices coming into today. And of course, this could also be a play here as well. Rejection off our 606.50 for a push back down in towards, now it's going to be the 602. So these are key levels that we have marked out on the major indices coming into today. Really, the major indices have been the only thing that's kind of been moving. The rest of the overall market, we actually had a decent drop yesterday. Yeah, we had a decent drop yesterday. While the Qs dropped, a lot of these ones were relatively weak. So it was only a matter of time. If as soon as the Qs pulled back, a bunch of these names dropped significantly more, especially the semis as well. So now we'll go on to some of the tech names. All right, let me grab some water here as well. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers you'd like me to go over, you guys can drop them in the chat. All right, first things first. Let's go on to AMD. So as you can see here for AMD, the key levels that we have marked out yesterday was our 240. So 240 here on the higher time frames, and we also had kind of this trend line that was being built. So we had higher lows. We mentioned we want to be a little bit cautious. Above your 240 is going to be key here for AMD. If you can break above your 240 hold, we can see a nice continued push towards the upside. Ultimately, break underneath, potential mean reversion back towards the lows. So end up breaking towards the downside. Now you can see we're having a little bit more weaker price action. If you look at AMD coming into today, all right, Monday's lows, Tuesday's lows, broke underneath, and now we're pushing lower. We're actually coming back down in towards a key level of support, which happens to be your 223. So coming into today here for AMD, what we like to see is really maintain above your 223. Yeah, that's going to be the key level. Another key level we can mark out here as well is your Monday's lows. Break above your Monday's lows, hold above that, potential continuation back up and towards your Friday's highs. As for AMD, higher time frames, in my opinion, are still bullish, but we can be looking for some more short side, couple plays here. All right, so the two plays I have marked out here for AMD, opening range break, potential continuation towards the downside. Another one here right off the bat is going to be the break underneath your previous day lows. If you can get underneath your previous day lows, potentially you can see some more moves lower as well. So keep this in mind for AMD. These are going to be the key levels you have coming into today. All right, as for Apple, so Apple and AMD were the only two tickers that were somewhat still holding up here on the higher time frames. But you can see ultimately this week dropping a little bit lower here. Apple, nice kind of pop on Monday. Now this one is pulling back here as well. So the key levels coming into today here for Apple is going to be your previous all-time highs 259. And we can also now mark out our 256. So as you can see yesterday, nice kind of drop underneath your previous all-time highs. Nice push back down in towards our Monday's lows. Coming into today here for Apple, key levels that we're going to have marked out. Previous all-time highs 259. If you can break above this, hold. Potential push back towards the upside. Another possible scenario is now going to be the bounce off your 256. You can also be looking for the potential bounce play off your previous day lows for this pushback towards the upside. If we're looking for some short scenarios, pop and fade off 259, continuation lower. Another possible scenario for a short. Now it's going to be underneath this previous day lows. So that's what we have for Apple coming into today. Now let's go into Tesla. All right. Okay, so this is the main thing here. This is Tesla. We just had recent earnings. Yeah, so we just had recently, we had earnings in the after hours. And now you can see we're just kind of right back inside of this range. So key levels that we have marked out is really this 440. We wanted to see the break above, hold potentially for a continuation higher, but ultimately, right, with earnings season, overall market, a little bit more uncertainty. Now we just came right back down, actually before earnings, and now we're just back inside of this range. So not too much to talk about. We've been consolidating for now a while now. We were trying to break above, but ultimately was not able to. So a lot of these names are looking fairly similar. I don't really see too much that I like on the higher time frames, at least for continuation with the overall state of the market. All right. So at least for Tesla coming into today, key levels I'm going to have marked out. Friday's highs of last week. You can also mark out now. It's going to be your Tuesday's lows of last week. So these are our main key levels for Tesla. Some plays that we can be looking for coming into today. Tesla, potential bounce off your Tuesday's lows for a push back towards the upside. Another one will be the reclaim back above your Wednesday's lows for 26 for a push back up and towards your previous day close here as well. with Tesla only being down 3%, both calls and puts are going to get crushed. So instead of looking for continuation with earnings, you're going to be looking for kind of the reversal setup. So either off your Tuesday's lows, or as I mentioned, back above your Wednesday's lows, potential move back up in towards number one, your previous day lows. And then we also have your previous day close. The only way would be interested in Tesla more downside would be the break underneath your Tuesday's lows. So if we break underneath your Tuesday's lows, hold underneath your Tuesday's lows, then we can see a little bit more downside here on the overall market. Besides that, I would be a little bit more cautious. The pop and fade is also in play, but I wouldn't be as interested in this one just because I think we can have a reversal here on Tesla if we can get back above key levels coming into today. So that's going to be our key level for 20. Let's go on to a few other tickers. As for Nvidia, this one's still showing weakness. Every pop has been shorted, as you can see. So until we're able to break really now back above 183, this one's going to continue lower. It does seem like it's most likely going to gravitate back down in towards that 177. All right, so coming into today here for Nvidia, key levels that I mentioned, 179, which is the level that we're at currently. And then now we have our previous day lows, which you can see markets end up having a nice push towards the downside yesterday, right down in towards that key level. So for Nvidia coming into today, if you want to see any sort of buyer step in, currently in between its middle of the range, you like to see a hold of this 179. Another possible scenario, break above your pre-market highs now for a pushback towards the upside. In this case, Nvidia is actually a lot more weaker. So if we break underneath your 179, or now it's going to be the short underneath your previous day lows. So this is what we have here for Nvidia, right? 179.50s. And then we also have your previous day lows marked out, which is your 177.50s. As for everything else here on the overall markets, as I mentioned, I really don't see too much. Netflix yesterday, kind of this 84% rule, but once we're able to get back underneath key levels, right, this really 135 higher time frame, showing a little bit more weakness. Potentially in Netflix, day 2 move is in play towards the downside after earnings yesterday. But besides that, I really don't see too much Tesla. It just kind of shows you, right? Tesla's only down 3%. So right, this earnings season, a lot more uncertainty, which was expected here with the overall markets. A lot of these semiconductors pulling back here as well. So you can see, right, rejection off of where? Right off your all-time highs. So at least for the semiconductors, longs are going to be a little bit more difficult. AMD, another rejection off your all-time highs, pullback. Nvidia showing a little bit more weakness. So yeah, that just kind of goes to show you the market environment we're in. Ever since we had that drop here on Friday, this was 2 weeks ago, it's been a little bit more difficult to trade, a lot more mean reversions, bounces, rejection at key levels. So we're just going to keep expecting that moving forward, at least on the major indices. Let's see what else. Yeah, if you guys do have any tickers or any charts, I'll probably go over them next like 5 to 10 minutes, and then I will get ready for market open here now. And grab some water. Yeah, at least for the news yesterday, that was based off of the trade talks that we had. So make sure you're checking out the economic calendar. You can also go onto Twitter as well. There's a lot of different kind of Twitter accounts where you can follow. They have good resources that you can use. I have, let me see if I can post them somewhere, but yeah, you can go onto Twitter and there's a lot of people with like the Bloomberg terminal. Yeah, I drink tea. Yeah, I've been drinking some like lemon water with honey. My throat actually feels a lot better than yesterday. I think 1 or 2 more days and then I'll be fine. Alrighty. Let's go on to a couple of these ones. Let's go into Palantir. Palantir really just kind of going from range high to range low. Really not too much to talk about here. Come from air, we're getting shut up by radio DJs. The big deal. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have too much enthusiasm with my voice, uh, but yeah. Hopefully that was good enough. Let's see. Yeah, went over most of these ones, but yeah, Palantir not really doing too much. If you look at the daily time frame, a lot more consolidation. So until we can break really outside this range, I'd like to see a break above all-time highs push. Ultimately, if we break back underneath, I don't really like downside on this just because we're at all-time highs. So eventually, I'd like to see Palantir, right, buyer step in and push us back towards upside. Let's see what else. MU kind of pushing lower. TSM. So yeah, a lot of these semis are pulling back, which was expected with the SMH. But you can see SMH closer actually to all-time highs, still intact, whereas a lot of these semis pull back, right? MU, TSM, AVGO, right? A lot of these semis, right? We do have Intel earnings tonight, so we'll see how that shapes up the overall market. But a lot of these semis are pulling back, so that's just a good indication. There's not too much momentum on the higher time frames, right? Ever since I kept on mentioning it, since that news regarding tariffs that we had 2 Fridays ago, that just made a lot more uncertainty in the overall market. So not too much momentum towards the upside. It's been a lot more bounces, right, reversals. So for moving forward, at least my game plan, I've been playing a lot more defense the past 2 weeks. So now I'm just going to be kind of primarily looking for, right, either, right, be very, very selective and defensive or potentially, right, go on smaller size and go for these kind of bounces and rejection plays. But I'm not looking for much, right? I'm not looking for continuation. I'm just looking for, right, quick reactions off key levels and then selling into strength or weakness above high day or low day. All right, let me go over a couple more tickers here. Went over Meta, or briefly went over this one. Key level on Meta is our 736. Break above, potential continuation higher. Ultimately, Meta, this one looks good in my opinion. If the market can flip now, I think we can see a bigger move towards the upside above your 739. If we ultimately kind of reject off this pivot point, then we're just going to come right back down in towards that 720. Let's see. Someone mentioned some other tickers. Coin. Yeah, with Coinbase. Yeah, coin's really not doing too much ever since we kind of had that Bitcoin reaction off your all-time highs. Similar thing here, right back down in towards this key level of consolidation. So for coin, moving forward, key level that you're just gonna have marked out is your 336, 316, 304. So these are the key levels that I have marked out. You can see a couple of reactions, right? Broke above, retest, broke underneath, push back towards the downside. Next key level 318. If you want to see potential mean reversion, if you want to see some downside, now it's going to be underneath your 318. So a lot of these names like IWM or a lot of these small caps have been heating up. So for something like this one, you can use moving averages, you can use a bunch of different things here as well, but fairly bullish, broke above your IPO high. A lot of these IPO kind of themes have been moving nicely. Really now you have this gap fill, you have this kind of down close candle. I'll just mark out this general area. 48. This is really the exact level you want to see hold. You can see kind of some buyers stepping in here. So see multiple touches. You like to see buyers step in, kind of a little bit of a sharper pullback. If you can maintain above your 48, potential push higher, break underneath, we're going to see some more downside. So key level is your 48 here on the higher time frames. As for hood, we're actually right back at your previous all-time highs pivot point. This is also the area we broke out from. You see some buyers trying to step in here off this 120. Higher time frame key level support here as well. So for hood, really now you like to see kind of higher lows be built. Off your 120 for potential push higher. As for some downside, potentially underneath this 122. Okay, I'm going to go over my game plan once more coming into today. And I'm going to get ready for market open. So game plan to today here, as I mentioned, the key levels I have personally have marked out 602.50 and there's 606.50 on the Qs. The SPY levels I have marked out last Tuesday's highs 665.50 and your 670. So for the QQQ, as I mentioned, this is my key level. If we can maintain above this, or if price gets underneath, potential reclaim, you can see a little bit of a mean reversion, which I'm expecting just because the overall market been a lot more right ranging, bounces off key levels, as I mentioned, right rejections off key levels. I'll lean a little bit more towards the downside. If we break underneath our 602.50, hold underneath our 602.50, potentially I'll be interested in a short down in towards our previous day lows. That's really the game plan, right? Besides that, I don't see anything else on the tech side, at least towards the upside. Of course, there's a couple of short setups if the market does want to show weakness, but at least towards the upside, I don't really see anything. Maybe Apple reclaim above your 259. It would just be a lot more reclaims. What I am keeping an eye on though is Tesla for a potential mean reversion. This is basically an earnings reversal play. We'll see if it happens on day number 1, but potentially Tesla can have a mean reversion if we get back above your 426. You can see maybe a push towards the upside. Only way I'm interested in Tesla shorts, underneath your Tuesday's lows. But we'll keep an eye on Tesla just because this one did have earnings. I would be very cautious within the first right? 5 to 15 minutes. IV is going to get crushed on both sides. I would let it breathe first 5 to 15 minutes, and then we'll look for Tesla either continuation underneath your after hours lows, or now it's going to be the potential mean reversion earnings play. But yeah, besides that, just be a little bit more cautious here. The same game plan is going to apply until we have a major news catalyst that's going to move the market. Sorry, as I mentioned, until we have a major news catalyst that's going to move the market, or we have clear higher time frames, I just expect the markets to continue to be like this, as I mentioned, right? A lot more mean reversions, right? Bounces off key levels, rejections off key levels of resistance. So just be a little bit more cautious if we're trying to look for strong continuation without any higher time frame thesis. But yeah, that is going to be it for me today. As I mentioned, keep an eye out on these key levels here on both the SPY and the Qs. I don't see too much, so we'll really base it off of intraday price action. And then we'll also keep an eye out on Tesla just because it did have earnings. Key level for me is 418, and then we'll have a 426 marked out as well. But yeah, that is going to be it for me today. Gonna get ready for market open here now. If you guys did enjoy that, appreciate if you guys drop a like. Hopefully my voice gets better soon. It should get better by Monday. And then if you guys haven't joined the daily watch list, that of course is in the description below. All right, take care everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Peace.